All right. Ready to jump in and get started. Thank you for your patience with me. Sure we don't have any audio related concerns, but I think we're good. So want to jump in and show you what we'll be starting to build today. This is just a full stack application where we have the ability to, we name this app Beat Share. Basically what we have is the ability to share music peer to peer, and we're just going to work on the UI interface today, connecting it up to local storage, and then in the next portion of the video, or eventually we'll connect this to Prisma, use a blob to kind of store the MP3 or WAV files, and just add on a bunch of additional features there. And then eventually we'll make it into a YouTube video where we kind of go through it as a course, if you will. But for today, we're just going to focus on the UI. So what I have is a responsive application, and we'll focus on mobile first, where we have a header. We'll have the ability to see all music that we've uploaded. We'll be able to create. If we're looking to purchase any beats, we're going to have a cart that'll be updated. We'll also have a drop-down user menu that gives us access to see who's logged in, our username, and then from this view we'll see all music that is uploaded to the site. So to start off, if we wanted to listen to some music, and we can listen to any of these, and eventually we'll add in some role-based access, if you will. But if we wanted to just listen to any of the music, if we click on play, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear this with the live stream, but as you're walking through it, we'll make sure that it works. But if you click on the play button, you see that we have the play toolbar listed down at the bottom, and I'm going to pause it because I didn't have anything but just a simple MP3 sound. This is a play access bar at the bottom that shows the user image that's uploaded, the name of the song, play controls that lets us toggle between the previous and the next, and also click the current. We have the ability to shuffle play items. Eventually we'll add favorite, and if we click on this it'll show that it's favorited, and at the bottom we can see the duration. So this is how we'll control the audio of the music files that we are previewing. If we wanted to create a or upload a beat, we'll be redirected to the created. We may name this upload view. Here we can upload a image to represent the file that we'll be uploading. I'm going to name this test beats per minute. We'll just say that it is 80 beats per minute, and the price of this is going to be $1.99. The tags we'll add to it is first post, just so it's unique, and we'll say that this is R&B music, and then we'll need to select the file, the audio file itself, and I'm just going to grab a WAV file that I have on my computer. And then if all goes well, if we click upload, we'll be redirected to the My Beats view, which gives you access to see all of the beats that you have uploaded by user. And in this view, we have the same access. Notice that we see the name of this beat or music, which is test. It's in the R&B category. I added the tag of first post. Here's the image that we uploaded with it. And if we wanted to preview it, it'll be the exact same functionality down at the bottom. If we click preview, we have the ability to see it listed there. And if we want to delete this file, all we need to do is just click delete, and then we no longer have access to that music beat that we uploaded. And as you see, we have no local drafts yet, and if we want to upload a beat, we have that listed there. I'll just change this to create. And if we wanted to, we can also save it as a draft if we're not ready to actually publish it just yet. We'll just click on upload and we'll select the image. We'll name this as R&B. We'll go test draft as the name of the song. We'll give it 90 beats per minute. The price of it will be $2.99. And we'll just give it a tag of test. Select the file. We'll select one this time. Click upload, and if we save it as a draft, we see that this is saved as a draft in my local beats, and it won't be included on the publish page. This will be something that we can only see locally since it is, or individually since it is saved as a draft and it's not published. But we have the same access as we did before. We could preview and delete. And that's really what we'll be focusing on in this portion of the video, was the overall layout, connecting it with local storage, and then adding the create upload page in addition to the preview and delete functionality. So we'll have a little fun with this one. This will certainly be a multiple part series, if you will, but feel free to ask any questions that you may have in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer those and go over any questions that you may have. But I'm just going to be coding while I'm here, building this, explaining some of the more complicated functionality and some of the easier things as well as we go along. But for the most part, just going to be making sure that we can style this and have the layout that we desire in addition to the functionality, because we have some cool things that we'll be utilizing in this project that I haven't actually used in prior videos. So looking forward to that. But with that said, we will go ahead and jump in and get started. We'll minimize this. We'll shift over to this view, and in a directory on my desktop, I have it stored inside of VS Code. So what I'll be doing is installing the project inside of this directory. Feel free to install it inside of whichever one in your local computer that you like. And we'll just go to the terminal and type in the command npx create next app at latest space then dot. That way it installs inside of this directory. And we'll give it a few minutes. For the project, we'll be saying yes to TypeScript, yes to ESLint, yes to Tailwind, no to the SRC directory, yes to the app router, yes to the turbo pack, and no to the import alias, and just give it a few minutes to finish installing. Hey, what's going on, my friend? I hope you're doing okay, man. Thank you for stopping by and showing the continued support. As usual, it is genuinely appreciated. Yep, just a full stack. I noticed a website that was out on the web named Train Track, I think it is. Uh, Let me see if I can find it. Track Train, and that's basically the clone of the site that we'll be building today. A Track Train website where we can upload beats, browse beats, buy beats, download them, etc. But in this portion, we're just going to focus on the CRUD functionality, and then tomorrow we'll look to add more features based on where we get left off. All right, looks like we are good to go. So first things first, just gonna jump into package.json, update the package manager, and add some overrides just to make sure we have compatibility with other dependencies that we'll be using throughout the project. Next, we'll head to the global.css and remove the initial boiler code that's within it. And then finally, we'll head to the page.tsx file that's within the root directory and just add the text of home page. Now we're ready to start up our server on localhost. So in the terminal, we'll just type in the command npm run dev, press enter. And this should be going on localhost 3000. No, actually 3001, sorry. Maybe 3000 for you, but I have one already going on mine, so it's gonna be 3001. And as you can see, we now have home page on screen. Just to make sure it's working, we'll do -1 and we see that there. So that's perfect. Hey, yep, just a Fullstack Nextjs application. Thank you so much for stopping by. That is correct. Yep, using the latest version of Next, I'm gonna connect it up with local storage in addition to adding some additional features. But for right now, just looking to just get things started real quickly. Okay, so I'm gonna head to Daisy UI to help us with styling a little bit. I know a lot of people use Shad CN and it's great, don't get me wrong, but I'm just gonna use Daisy UI. It's lightweight, quick, simple, easy to get going. So we'll head to daisyui.com and I think documents, introduction. Actually, I think I seen install. Yep. So we'll just go to install and we're just going to install the Daisy UI dependency. We'll just go back to the terminal, open a new terminal and just paste in this command. Give it a few seconds. It's pretty quick. Then we'll just copy this and add it to the app.css file. So for us, it's global. I'll add that plugin. And that takes care of that. Yep, we'd love to know where you may be stopping by from. So feel free to let me know in the chat. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those as well. Now I think I need to update the tailwind to include some global styling. So we're just going to set the height, width, and overflow on the X, in addition to the text size to be small for the HTML body, root, and .app layout. And let me just minimize this. Just gonna refresh the screen. Next, I'm gonna update the title to reflect the name of the website. So we'll close out these two files for now. We'll head to the layout.tsx file that's within the app directory. and replace the title with Beat Share, which is going to be the name of the app. And I'm just going to add the description for SEO to be the place to share creativity. Click save. And I also want to update this fave icon. So I have one added on my desktop that I'm going to add within the root of the project. Give me a second. So if you wanted to do this as well, you can just go to a free fave icon downloader or creator, create one simply, and all you need to do is just drag it into the app directory, and it's going to ask if you want to replace the existing, and I'm just going to replace it and just replace it with this little simple icon, and then you'll notice that it immediately updates, and then now we have a unique title and fave icon for the website. We don't just have the default boiler provided by Next. Yep, yep. Should be fun. I agree. All right, so we can close out the layout.tsx. Now I think I want to shift off my focus to styling the actual application. I'm going to start with the header, which will carry the width of the page, and then we'll have some additional divs and classes built within it. So to build out the header, I'll add a directory inside of the root of underscore components. And I'll add a folder named header. And we'll also add a directory named UI. And this is going to be located inside of underscore components. And the reason I named it or called it underscore components because I want to make sure that Next ignores this as a route, or it recognizes that this shouldn't be included in any of the routes. It's only here for separate purposes. And then inside of that, just add the directories of the files that I want to have organized within each folder. So for this one, I want to store a header, UI, and a few other items, but we'll add those in later. Inside of the app directory, we'll add a route grouping of website. And the way we add a route grouping is by enclosing it with parentheses. And I'm just going to drag and drop this page.tsx file inside of that website grouping. And we'll say yes to that. And we can close this out. We'll say don't save. Just refresh it, make sure nothing broke. Yep, everything still looks good. And then we'll need to create a layout.tsx because I want to have a separate layout for the app and not utilize the main one. So I'm just going to copy the TypeScript, type safety information listed there, highlight it, copy it, close this out. Inside of the website grouping, add a file named layout.tsx. For this, I have a shortcut installed from React that allows me to utilize some features to make things a little easier for me. So I'm just going to type RAFCE, which is going to give me an arrow function that's exported. And I'm going to replace this layout text with curly braces and children. And then basically what we did was create a separate layout file from the one that's already installed or provided by Next. We're going to use this layout file to do the styling and to hold our header and sidebar in the application. And I just added in the type safety information so that we are
not upsetting TypeScript, and it will pass in the children props. That way this could be used throughout every website that's within this website grouping, or every route that's within the website grouping, I should say. And just to make sure it's working, I'm going to type the text header, and then we see that listed there. And then if we add a directory, or excuse me, a route named my list, and then inside of that we'll add a page.tsx. Just to make sure this is working, we'll create an export default function, and we'll name this my list page. Add a return, a div, we'll say hello from my list page. So in this, I'll just copy this local host, and then we'll add at the end of the root route my list. Press enter, and we see we have the text of hello from my list page, which corresponds with what we have on this screen. So the last thing I want to do before we start to style this app is just to make sure that Daisy UI is installed and set up as we desire. So we'll just go back to Daisy UI, click on the menu, a sheet will open. We'll scroll down to components. I'm just going to add a button. And just to make sure it's working, we'll just add this, click on JSX, click copy. I'm just going to replace, well, actually at the end of hello from my list page, we'll just paste in this code from Daisy UI that we just copied, click save, go back, and we see the buttons are listed there. And you'll notice that we have styling by just adding the BTN keyword, since we have Daisy UI installed, and in the distinguishing color, neutral, primary, secondary, and if you hover over it, it lets you know what color that you have. So that's pretty cool. We'll just remove this text because we don't need it. Save it, and you see that we are all good there. So as I mentioned, with that, we have our tailwind and everything working properly. In addition to Daisy UI installed, we noticed that we had the button components set up on the page without an issue. Now let's shift our focus to setting up this header. We'll go ahead and do that now. Yep, I appreciate everyone stopping by. If you don't mind, just let me know where you are stopping by from. Would love to shout you out and say thank you so much for your time and attention. It is genuinely appreciated. Yep. All right. So first things first, we'll begin by styling the overall layout of the project, which would be fairly simple if you remember from the quick overview that we had in the beginning of the video. But if not, it's okay. We will work through it together. Or actually, I can just pull it up right here. Localhost 3000. We're going to focus on building out this header first with a logo, the music icon, create link or button, the cart, and also the user drop down menu that will be shown once the user is logged in. We won't worry about these routes in this video. We're just going to focus on building the header first. So we'll build that out now. So inside of the components directory, we'll add a file named header.tsx. And we'll create an export default function named header. We'll return a header tag, and we'll just do something a little distinguished so we'll know. So we've just created a quick export default function named header that will represent the header of the application, and this will be consistent throughout regardless of the page. We'll be able to see this on every route that is within the route grouping website that we created a moment ago. So if we go back to the layout.tsx that's within the website grouping, at the top we can import the header, and it should be coming from @/_components/header. This is a benefit of having the React IntelliSense installed for VS Code. So we'll just go ahead and import it, and then I'll replace the header text with header. Be sure that it is enclosed, and then notice that we now have the header on screen, and it has the first two characters capitalized, which is our way of kind of just distinguishing that we are on this header page, or that we are displaying the header component that we just created. So perfect. Let's go ahead and give this div a class name with some styling. We'll set the background color to pound FFF, FFF, which should be 6 Fs. I want this to be grid, and we'll go grid rows of auto, AUTO underscore 1FR, which is one fractional unit. I know it may be hard to see, but if I change this to, you'll see that it is listed there. And if we change the height to full, it takes up the entire page. So perfect. So we'll change this back to FFF. Should be 6 Fs. Yep. We'll also need to add something around the children. So we'll just go ahead and highlight and copy it for right now. Add a div, paste back in the children, and we'll give this a class name of flex1, which basically states it's going to take up most of the width on screen that is not being occupied by a different component. So that's perfect. Just to show what this looks like, we'll set the background to Amber 200, and then notice that it's taking everything except for the header component that we brought in. So this is perfectly fine. And we'll change this div to main. All right. Let's get back focused. We'll go back to the header component, which is what we want to build out first. And with this, we'll have a few different components that we'll bring in, but we'll just add some initial styling. So the header will get a class name, and we'll set this to sticky. STICKY. Set the top to 0. We'll give it a Z index of 40. The background will be dash surface /80, and I'll show you why. Well, we'll add the surface variable in just a moment. We'll give it a border bottom, and we'll make that border dotted. Click save, and then we'll go border muted. Click save. And I want to give the backdrop a background of blur. That way, when we scroll, excuse me, it'll have a blur to it, if you will. So it'll look a little distinguished, and it won't just be a traditional white background. So just to give it a little bit of styling. So with this, I want to add some global styling that I've already kind of pre-built. Nothing that'll impact the functionality of the website, so I'm not going to bore you with it, but you can feel free to update these however you like and customize them, and I'll provide the GitHub link in the description. But basically, excuse me, this file just provides some root styling that we can use throughout the application. Distinguish here. Feel free to copy these if you're following along. I also added in the global sizing. And when we use the player that we're going to create later, this is the this is some styling that we're going to use to help with it. And notice that we use the background surface. So you'll notice that the color is a little different now. And then we also added a accent bar, a multi-line clamp headers, and a little soft reflection under the images so that you'll notice that once we get to the main functionality built out of the page, you'll notice it. But I didn't want to bore you with typing this out. So I'm just going to close that out. And then we'll notice that we have, let's just change this to 90. Not going to notice much with it because it's a soft color, but if you remember how it was when we initially set it up versus what it is now, you'll see that color is taking effect. I'll just copy this. And then notice you'll see it there, add it back, a subtle difference. Now we'll need to give the header its own styling. So we'll go nav and we'll just add in header. That nav will have a class name. We'll set the margins to auto on the left and right. Set the maximum width of the screen to be 2XL. We'll go padding on the X of 3. We'll set the padding on a small device on the X to be 4. On large, we'll set it to 6. And on the Y, we'll set this to 2. And then you notice that we got a little bit of space listed there, so that's perfect. Then we'll add a div for the logo. See that there? We'll give this div a class name of navbar start. This is coming from Daisy UI. If you go to components, I'm sorry, under components, excuse me, go down to navbar. You'll notice that this is a keyword of navbar start. This just distinguishes that the navbar is going to be on the far left, the same way it would be in a flex layout, if you will, just using Daisy UI to help with some styling. So that's perfect. So now we're ready to create the logo component. So we'll go back to the components directory. Inside of UI, we'll add a file named logo.tsx. So this will be the file that'll hold our logo. And for our logo, it won't be anything complicated, just a simple indicator that just gives it a little bit of style, and we'll make sure that it responds based on the size of the window. But first things first, let's create an export default function named logo. We'll add a return statement, a link, which we'll need to import. So at the top, we'll import link, and that should be coming from next/link. Let's bring in this link. We'll say logo, and just give it a href of back to home. So let's import it inside of the header, not the layout, sorry. So at the top of the header, we'll import logo, and that should be coming from /logo. Save it, and we'll replace this text of logo with the logo component. You don't notice any difference there, but if you click on it, you notice that it went back to the home route. So that means that we are using the logo component and the link tag is working as we desire. We'll go back to link, and we'll give this a class name with flex, item centered. We'll say justify center, and on large, we'll go justify start. We'll add a Arial, ARIA label, and set this equal to beat shop home. Okay. Inside of this link tag, we will add a div, I think. Okay. We'll start with a div that will have a span. This span will have the B. Then we'll have another div. No, I'm sorry. Outside of that div, we'll add another span. And this will be beat shop. Yeah, that explains that. There we go. I was wondering why it was centered, but I misspelled nav bar. So my apologies, and no one actually told me. So thanks for having me look silly out here. Give it a moment. Okay. All right. So that is the B. This is basically the logo. Now let's just give it some styling. Class name, we'll set the height to 8, the width to 8. Go rounded, extra large. Set background to brand 10. Click save. All right, perfect. So we see what we have on the screen. We'll go ring 1, ring brand, go grid, and place items in the center. There we go. Perfect. Now let's style the text B. Class name, we'll go font neutral 800 and set the text to brand. Click save. Perfect. See that there? Let me give this a little gap of 2. It's better. And then now we won't be able to see this because it'll be hidden on large devices, but I'll keep it as is just for right now. We'll go large. We want it to be displayed inline. Set the font to semi-bold. We'll go tracking. Let's go widest. And set the text color to body. There. But as I mentioned, I want this to be hidden on smaller devices. So we'll just add hidden. And as you can see, it went bye-bye. So that's basically the logo. Nothing crazy, but just something simple to give it some form of style, if you will. Okay, that cares for the logo. So I think next we'll shift our focus to the next component within the header. So we have logo. Let's go with, I think next, I'll add a div here, and this is a Daisy UI component, if you will. I'm just going to set the nav bar to center as the class name, and that's just going to center the content. Another way of just not typing it out, justify center. And then outside of that div, we'll add a new div, which will represent sorry, which will represent the left side of the, you can see it listed there. But if we add to this div a class name of navbar end, click save. Notice that everything's shifted to the end. Could have done this with Flex, but since I'm using Daisy UI, I'm going to take advantage of some of their built-ins to make the coding experience a little easier, if you will. Take care of that. Go navbar in, and I'll just give this a gap of 1. And on small devices, we'll set the gap to 2. So instead of it reading options here, we're just going to add a link tag. And this is going to be imported from next/link. We'll close this. I'll add a href of my list. And this will redirect us to the my list site that we created earlier. So we'll just add my list. If we click on this, and I'm gonna open it in a new tab, you'll notice that it takes us to hello from my list. So that is working perfectly. But we'll remove this text and add a span. The first span will be my tracks. And we can see that now listed on screen. And the next one I want to add is going to be for, or going to be just a little music icon that I have. I'm just going to paste that in. Can't see it right now because we are on desktop. Well, because of the view, but we'll just add a class name of hidden. Extra small, we'll say inline. There. So now we just see this icon. That's perfect. And if we click on this, it takes us to the page, and we click on the home icon. I'm sorry, if we click on the icon, we go back to the home page. Perfect. All right, so I think under this, we'll add a button to create a upload, or add a upload a cart button in the user menu. So we'll add the excuse me, the create button first. So let's go back to header. We'll add a file named create button.tsx. We'll add export default function name create button. Be sure to call it, and then we'll return a link. So let's go ahead and import link coming from next/link, and in the return statement we'll access that link. Now just add, let's create there. Now we're ready to import this, but let me add the href. I think I'll name this upload. I think I'd rather name it upload. And we'll just add upload listed here. Click save. And I think this needs to be inside of the header. And let's add it underneath this link. So we'll go import We are importing create button. Excuse me. We'll just call it. And there we have our up. I probably should just name the upload button since I just called it upload, but it's okay. This is fine for right now. Now let's go back to the create button component and let's begin to style it a little bit. With this one, we'll just add a class name of BTN, which should make it a button. Yep. We'll set it to BTN small. Okay. And on small devices, we're going to make the BTN medium. We'll make the text white. We'll go rounded to XL and give it a little shadow. Shadow is small. Okay. And I'll add some inline style as well. We'll set the background color to variable P. And we'll set the border color to variable dash dash P. There we go. And these colors are coming from the global styling that we have listed here. So we can have some consistency. You notice the P is just a little blue color there. And that way, if we were to change this, it will be updated throughout the website and not just in whatever folder or file that we added it to. So this will kind of give us, keep a level of consistency, if you will. We can close that out for now. And this is what the finished product will look like. Okay. So I think we are good with the create button. The next button we want is the little cart button. We'll focus on that now. Give this a class name as well of BTN Ghost. We'll go rounded 2XL. Padding on the X of 3. Let's set it small. We'll set the padding to 4 and make the color text body. What I was looking for is that. There we go. Looks a lot better. So now let's add the cart button. So we'll go to our directory and we'll name this cart button.tsx. We'll export default function, name this cart button, call it. Inside we'll pass in I think we need a link for this as well. So we'll import link from next/link. And we'll say cart BTN. And I think we can give this a href of /cart. Click save, go back to the header, and underneath the create button, we'll add it here. So we'll go import cart BTN, and then just call it right underneath the create button. Perfect. See it listed there on screen. How's it going? I appreciate you stopping by. And if just a full stack Beats application, which is going to be this, we're focused on the header right now. Kind of like a track train. I think that's the name of the website, clone. Yep, just something simple. We're gonna do full stack. Eventually, we'll add Stripe to be able to purchase beats and download beats and preview beats and all that good stuff. But today, I'm just gonna focus on the layout, the CRUD functionality connecting to local storage, and then we'll kind of build on and add more functionality from there. Sorry about that. So we'll focus on the cart link now. And we'll go back. I think for this one, it's just going to be pretty simple, just as we did with the other one. We'll just use it to link out to the actual um, slash cart page. I'm thinking we're going to keep everything pretty server side rendered so we can actually just you do the exact same thing, have it link the cart that way. So this will be fine. All right, so with this, we'll give this a class name of BTN Ghost, BTN Circle. We save. Notice that we had a little quick line appeared and disappeared. And I have a SVG for this. You can use a React icon. In fact, I think we'll use React icons next, but I'll just use the SVG. But that's basically what we have. Can I go? Let me see something. That is the create. What if I did beat instead of rounded? What if I did the same thing to keep it simple? BTN circle. Place this. Oh no, wrong one. There we go. I need this one. This one is the. It's inside of the header. I'm tripping. There we go. There. Now we have some consistency there with it. Perfect. All right. And I think last but not least, we'll add the user menu. So just to show what that looks like. Basically, we have the name listed there, the email without the at, and a simple little user drop down menu we're going to use. Daisy UI to help with that instead of doing all of the coding ourselves. So we'll go back to the header directory and add a file named user menu.tsx. Go export default function user menu, add a return, a div, just go user menu, go back to the header, let's import it, import user menu, make sure it's coming from / user menu, and then we'll just need to bring it in underneath the cart button, go user menu, click save, and then now we see the user menu there, and notice the distinguished text, which reflects how we typed it in, so that's perfect. Okay, so now let's focus on styling and building out the user menu, and then that'll complete the header. Excuse me. So we're gonna come back and make this a little more modular later, but for right now, this will be suffice just to get us going. So let's go to user menu. We can actually close out header, create button, user button, playlist page, and layout for now. Close out the wrong one. Go back to user menu. We'll add a div of with a class name of drop down. And we'll go drop down end. And this is coming from Daisy UI. We'll replace this text with a button. The button will have a div inside of it, and we'll have one more div with a span. This span will be what we have to actually hold the little circle indicator that we had previously. So this will be for TJ, which will be the JA which is how it shows up on coming from Google. And then outside of these two divs, we'll add another span. This one will have the username. And I think what I'll do is we'll go const user, and we'll say name is equal to DJ A dad. And we'll be pulling this from Google in a later video, but for right now, we'll just hard code it in just so we can have something. That'll take care of that. And in this span, this is where we want the what is this thing called? The other icon. We could have used a React icon. In fact, I may use React icons for the remainder portion, at least for right now. But I did use a SVG, which is what you're seeing with the preview, but I'm gonna show you what it looks like now. I forget what this is called. Bring this up a little bit. A little carrot. I think that's what it's called. It's a carrot. And then outside of this button, we'll have a unordered list, and this will be the list items to the various links that we'll have. And I could have put this in an array, and we'll come back and do that later. But for right now, we'll just go profile, click save, and you see it listed there. Once we add in all the class names, this will start to come to life a little bit better. But for right now, this will definitely work. Hey, what's going on? I appreciate you stopping by. Just building a full stack application, a kind of like a Spotify clone, but instead of you have the ability to upload your own music and sell it. I think the appropriate clone will be I think it's called Track Train or Train Track. Basic, it would say it's an online website where users can go in and submit beats to that they'll like to shell that they'll like to sell or have others listen to and get feedback on. So that's basically what this website is ultimately going to be. But in this portion of the today's video, I'm focusing on the layout and maybe some of the CRUD functionality with it. Not 100% sure yet. Just kind of depends on what my time looks like. But I will be back on this evening or tomorrow to kind of add more to it until it's finished, and we're gonna add all kind of stuff to it, favorites and playlists and reviews and comments and all that good stuff. But this is the main core of the user menu. So let's just go ahead and start to style it out. So inside of this initial button, we'll add a class name with btn ghost. Click save, and then you notice that it is now updated. And these are Daisy UI class specific names. We'll get some padding on the X and a gap of 2. Click save. And then we'll come outside of this class name and add the area label. For this one, it's going to be user menu. Click save there. And then inside of this div, we'll give this a class name. This is where we'll hold the avatar showing the name listed there, and you can see it begin to style now. And then we'll add placeholder, which is another keyword from Daisy UI. And then inside of that div, we should have another div, and we'll give it a class name with a width of 8 and round it. We'll set that to full. Click save, and you begin to start to see it shape a little bit now. We'll set the background to RGB A 0, 191, 166, and then we'll go 15. And just be sure to add the closing parentheses and the square bracket. Click save, and you see that there. We'll go ring, muted, grid, place item center. Go, and I think that's probably that way. Let's change that to ring. There we go. This span will get a class name of text 11 pixel. Let's just set the size. Set the margin top. Now I think because it has this keyword, it's not going to let me customize it, but that's okay. We'll probably figure this part out later. This isn't 100% necessary for what we're doing today, but I do notice that it is a little off, and that's okay for right now. We're still a little early. So We'll finish styling the span. We'll set the font to medium, and then set the styling of this to color. And do var parentheses minus s, and just be sure that it comes outside of it. Style it, and you notice that the color changes a little bit. And now we are good with the button. Come outside of the button, and we're ready to style the UI. So we'll add a class name and give this menu. Click save. Notice that it shifted a little bit, and we'll go drop down content. And notice that it disappeared because it now views it as drop down content. You click on it, you now see profile there, so that's perfect. And with this one, you just have to click outside of the user menu for it to go away or for it to vanish, but that's fine, no problem there. Let's just add a little bit more styling to this. We'll set the background to surface, SURFACE. Rounded will be 2XL. Give it a shadow of large. We'll go ring of 1, and we want the ring be muted. We'll go width of 56, margin top of 3, padding of 2. And just to see what this looks like, if we click on the drop down, that's what it looks like there. That looks okay. I want to add some more padding to it. Let's move that F. There. That looks better. And instead of it 2XL, excuse me, shadow small. That works. Let's refresh it. Cool. I think that'll work. Yeah, that's fine. And we'll give this list item a class name, and we'll set it to menu title. Click save. Perfect. That gives it some additional padding. Go padding on the X of 3, padding top of 2, set the text to extra small, and make the color text body. You can't see it. Save. There we go. And we'll keep that one as is. We'll add a couple more list items. Inside of those, I want to include a link, which will link out to the appropriate route. So we'll import link from next/link. Inside of this first link, we'll add a href to my list. And we'll just give this my uploads. Click save. See it there. Perfect. Let's give this a class name with a color of text body. I think that's all we need for right now. We'll always add more later. I think we'll probably put this inside of a options, put this inside of an array and give us some objects. But for right now, this will be suffice for what we're looking to do. And let me see, click save. Perfect, that works. So I think we are good with this one. Outside of that, let me just see something else here. We'll add a log out and go log out, class name. I also want to add border top, border dotted, border neutral 200. Let's see what this looks like. I'm just gonna have it go back to the home route for right now. Save. Okay, it does have a little line listed there. That's fine. We may come back and change it, but just gonna have the log out option there. Profile uploads takes us there. If we click on log out, takes us back to home. Perfect. So I think that concludes the header. Now let's shift our focus to the sidebar, which is probably a little hard to see, but we have a log out button at the bottom, and we have a bunch of icons listed here, and they're going to be responsive. So this is the home, and we see that the indicator indicates that using use path name just to distinguish the color of the home route. And then we have favorites, which will be opening up a list, my playlist, which will be opening up a list. But let's take a look at it on a desktop so you can see it a little better. Give me 1 second. Excuse me. 1 second. Yeah. All right, you should be able to see it now. So basically, what we'll build is the sidebar. These links will be static links so that if you click on each one, it'll redirect you. We haven't created a search route just yet, but that's okay. We may have it just for right now. This one takes you back to the home route, and notice use path name is working because the home route is highlighted. And then we'll have accordions for favorites, since you can have a bunch of favorites, and I don't want to have a bunch of big long list of items there that you can't navigate through. So we'll have favorites in an accordion, playlists will be in an accordion, and my uploads will be in an accordion. You can always get to it from the drop down menu, but we'll also have the side navigation that you'll have access to as well. So let's go ahead and focus on building out that sidebar now. Do that now. Add it there. Close out the user menu. Inside of components, we'll add a new directory named sidebar. And the main file will be on sidebar.tsx. Create an export default function named sidebar. Side. Okay, so we have that. Now we'll just need to import it into the layout, which we can do that now. So we'll go inside of the website grouping folder, inside of layout.tsx. We'll import sidebar. Be sure it's coming from @/_components/sidebar. And then underneath the header, we'll add a div, and we'll bring in the sidebar. Notice we see it listed there. And I think I'll need to change this around just a smidge. So we're going to actually, you know what? This should work. Let's remove this div. Inside of the main tag, we'll add the sidebar here. I think that makes the most sense. Okay, perfect. So now we see those two listed side by side, and instead of it being flex one here, we'll just go flex, and we'll go a height of full. Perfect. So now they're side by side, and we'll have the sidebar listed here, and all of the homepage content will be to the right. So we'll highlight the children, copy it, delete it, replace it with a div, paste it back inside of the div, give that div a class name of flex1, click save, and we'll just go background Ember 200. So now we see that it is taking up the remaining portion of the page while the sidebar just takes up the space that's needed. So that's perfect. Now I think we are done with this layout for now. And this one, we'll shift our focus back to the sidebar. And that way we can build it out and begin to see what the styling for it will look like. We'll come back and make this a little more modular later, but for right now, I'm just going to place everything in the one file. Okay. So to start with, we'll have the sidebar. We'll give it a class name with a height of full. We'll go border right, make that border dotted. We'll go color will be muted. Background will be surface. Click save. There, now we see it listed there. So that's perfect. Let's set the width to 16. Okay, got a little more space. On large devices, we want the width to be 72. Go shrink of 0. Sticky, Sticky, and set top to 0. Click save. Notice we don't notice much with it now, but let's shift back
to the desktop view. There. All right, so if we go to localhost 3001, there, so we see the width is set to 72. The same thing here. And now we'll begin to style out the rest of it next. All right.
So we'll replace sidebar with div. And give this a class name of flex column. Set the height to full. We'll go a sidebar. Let me just make sure this is working as I intended. Background to orange 200. Save. Perfect. Just wanted to make sure that it was functioning properly. So I think first I want to set the primary nav, which is basically those two icons that I showed you, the home and the search button. And then underneath that, we'll have those accordions, which will give us the ability to store multiple items within it without taking up the entire length, if you will. So we'll go nav, get us a class name of padding on the X of 2 and padding top of 2. And we'll go space on the Y of 1. Click save, and then we see the nav links listed there. So that's perfect. So let's create a component. And actually, we can create this in a separate file. Let's name this sidebar link.tsx. And at the top of this file, we'll mark it as use client. And we'll just go we'll go export default function. We'll name this sidebar link. And we'll go return. Let's import link from next/link. And we'll just go link with a href of slash for right now. And I think we'll just go ahead and, you know what? It may make it easier if we just kept it inside of the one file. So I'm just going to delete this for right now. And we'll delete this file. And at the top of this sidebar, for right now, we'll just go ahead and mark this as use client. We'll import link here. And then we'll also import use path name. That's coming from next navigation. So we'll add the braces, go from next slash navigation. Navigation. And we want to grab use path name. Did it not like mine? Maybe I mistyped something. We'll just delete it. Okay, and then we'll also need to install some icons. So we'll go back to the terminal. I'm going to use Lucid React for that. Go npm I think it is LUCIDE-React. Press enter. Okay. So we'll just create a component right here. Just name it function nav link. I'm gonna go return link. Uh-oh. Sorry. Messed up my syntax. Return link. So we're going to use this to pass in some props. First one will be the href. Next will be the label. And then we'll also need to bring in the icon. So we'll need to bring in a few icons. Let's bring those in now. We'll import. And it's going to come from Lucid React. The first one will be home, search. That'll be all for right now. We'll add more later. So with this, we'll also bring in icon, which will be represented by icon with a capital I. Then we know we'll need to distinguish the actual types. So we'll say the href will be a string, and be sure to add the appropriate colon. The icon will be react.component type, and then this one will be any, and then the label will be a string. Perfect. And now we just need to add the href so that all the errors will go away. So for the link, we'll set this href to href, and then inside of the link, we'll add a title, which will be the label. Click save. And then underneath that, we'll add a icon, give it a closing tag, a class name, and make the class name dynamic with temporal literals. So we'll add the brackets. And for this, we'll set the height to 5, the width to 5, and we'll set the text to body/80. Click save. All right, so let's use this nav link so that we can actually see it begin to come to life, if you will. So inside of this nav tag, we'll remove the nav links, and we'll bring in nav link. We'll add a href of slash, add a icon of home. The icon, I'm sorry, should have this with home, and we'll set the label to home. Click save. There, we see that listed on screen. So that's perfect. We'll copy this. This one will be search. Change this to search. And I think an extra slash in there. Yep, and it is showing the title. So I think I have that's fine. I just need to come back and finish styling out this link. Mm-mm-mm. So let's add it like this. Span, go label. That's fine. And then we'll go class name of hidden. Large will be inline. So that took care of that one. But it left it here. So let me remove this. Well, we know we gotta have one there. Why am I getting this error? Hold on, let me think about this for a second. Um, hmm. Got it. I see why now. There. All right, so let's give this some styling now with a class name. We'll make this dynamic. Inside the class name, we'll set it to group, flex, make the item centered on the X, give it a gap of 3. Perfect. Go rounded, extra large, padding on the X of 3, on the Y of 2. Perfect. Go transition. On hover, we'll set the background to RGBA 108, 99, 255, and then .06. That looks good. Save. Perfect there. And outside of it, we'll add a hover with a ring of 1. And on hover ring, we'll set the var to P. And then come outside of that and give it the variation of 30. Perfect. See that there. And then we'll add in the functionality or the distinguishing if it is active. So we'll go $, curly braces, active, which we'll need to get access to use path name in order to bring that in. So we'll do that now. So underneath the parentheses or the curly braces, I should say, we'll go const path is equal to use path name. Be sure you call it. And then we'll say const active is equal to path href, or href is not, just 2, not 3, home and path name dot starts with href. Yeah. There we go. So this will be active with a question mark. And we'll say if it is active, we want the background to be, actually, we can copy this. We can leave that like that for right now. Or Hold on. Curly braces active with a question mark. Set the background to this in here. Why am I tripping? Let me see something here. Mm, 1 second. There we go. All right. And you can see the home route is now distinguished perfect. So now if I create a search page, let's see what that looks like. Page.tsx. Now let's try it. It's perfect. So it highlights, distinguishes based on the page. So now we're ready to create the accordion at the bottom, which is basically this. And I know it's not 100% responsive just yet, but I just want all of the items to be stored within this sidebar collapsible accordion and not the all of them just listed out. So let me close this back up. We'll close out this. All right. So under this div, we'll add a new div. And change this to this. You can see with a div with collapse content. And then we'll give it a padding on the X of 2 and padding bottom of 2. And this is a keyword from Daisy UI. We'll go unordered list, class name of menu. Menu will be small. We'll go rounded box. Then we'll add a list item. Well, we will. We can go list item with a link, the href of my list, my let's go favorites, favorites. This first one will be latest. And then this one will be tag. Click save, refresh. Okay. So we'll also need a input that will give us the ability to click on and click off. So within the div, right below collapse, we'll go input with a type of checkbox. Click save there. And then we'll add a div, which will have a class name of collapse. Uh-oh. If I go inside, class name of collapse, PSE, title, padding on the Y of 2, the X of 3, go flex, item centered, and a gap of 3. For this one, we'll bring in a heart. So we'll bring in a heart icon. Uh-oh. So I'm going to get back used to my laptop. Inside of this div, we'll bring in the heart with a class name of height of 5, width of 5, and set the text body to 80. Okay. That's I'm a little off here. Tell you what, let me redo this. Sorry about that. So we'll add a div. This is going to hold BG purple pinks. Save. Okay, that's fine. So this will be the outer div. Go margin top of 4, padding on the X of 2, space on the Y of 2. So then we'll have the first section. We'll add the input type of checkbox. Then underneath that div, we'll add another div and bring in the heart. Set the height to 5, the width to 5, and the color be text body 80. Perfect. All right. So the first div will be the outermost div, which is going to control the opening and closing. So this will have the keyword of collapse, COLAPSE. And we'll go, the background is going to be surface. Click save. We'll go rounded, extra large, a ring of 1. And we'll set the ring to neutral 10. Perfect. And then we have the checkbox is already hidden. So then this div will style it. We'll go collapse title, padding on the Y of 2, on the X of 3, and we'll go flex item centered and give it a gap of 3. That works. And then we'll also add a span of favorites. Can't really see it right now, but that's okay. So on small devices, we want it hidden. On large, we want it to be displayed in line. We'll set the text to the color of body and the font to medium. So it's gone now because the initial styling is going to be hidden on small devices. So let's take a look at it on a large device.
There we go. See it listed there. Can't collapse it and open it just yet, but that's okay.
So underneath this span, we have the collapse title. So we're going to come outside of this one, and then we'll go with div and make this collapse content. Padding on the X will be 2. The padding bottom will be 2 as well. And we'll go unordered list. We'll go list item, latest. Let's look at it.
Perfect. We see it open and closing. So this will be where all of our favorites are listed. And we can include links to distinguish it if we want the latest or most liked or most favorite and all that good stuff. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. I just want to have a list for our favorites and a few other. Well, more importantly, my uploads. Let me do that one next.
We'll give this some styling of menu. And we'll make the menu small. We'll go around that box. Click save. This list item doesn't need one. I'm going to remove latest, replace it with a link tag. The href will be favorite, FAVORITES /latest, TEST.
And I know we don't have this route created, but let's just test it out. If we highlight it down towards the bottom, you'll see it listed there that it is going to that route. So that's perfect. So if we wanted to click on this, we could be redirected to /favorite/latest. But we haven't created that route and we haven't created favorite functionality just yet. So we're not going to worry about it. But what we are going to add for right now is the
ability to store all of our items within that list if we choose to. So to get out of this one, we'll need to come outside. So go out 2 divs underneath the UI, and we'll just name this upload. Forgot I gotta do this one. Braces is slash asterisk slash. This is going to be upload section. So if you want to see all of your uploads, you can see it here. So we'll just add a div with a class name of collapse. The background will be surface. We'll go rounded extra large, ring 1, and we'll set that ring to neutral, neutral 10. Click save, and we see it listed right there. Or we see something appear on screen right there, I should say. Not necessarily listed. I'm gonna copy. Well, I won't copy. We'll type it out. We'll add the input Set the type to checkbox. And then underneath this one, we'll add a div with a class name of collapse title. We'll set the padding on the Y of 2. On the X of 3, we'll go flex, item centered, and give it a gap of 3. So for this one, we'll have a upload icon. So we'll bring in upload, and that's coming from Lucid React. So underneath this div, let's just bring in upload. There we see it listed there on the screen. A class name, a height of 5, a width of 5. Click save. We'll make the text body /80. It's perfect. And then underneath upload, that might be a little too big. Just copy this one. You know what? I gotta add some padding to it. It's okay for right now. So we'll add in the text with a span of my uploads. And we see that there. Give a class name of hidden. Actually, I'm gonna go large inline. Text will be body. The font will be medium. Click save, and we'll make it hidden. There we go. All right. That one's perfect. Why are you looking special? Let's go depending on the X2. I might have came out one too many. There. I said to only come out 2, and I went out 3 divs. I was wondering why we didn't have any padding listed there. Let's look at it on the desktop.
Perfect. That looks good.
Okay. So now, under my uploads, let's go ahead and add underneath this span, underneath this div, let's add another div with a class name of collapse, COLLAPSE, content. And we'll go padding on the X of 2, padding bottom of 2. Add an unordered list. We'll give this one a class name of menu, and we'll make it small. We'll go rounded box. And I only want a list item, excuse me, with a link and a href of my dash upload. Did we go uploads or upload? Let's see. No, I said my list. My list. Sorry. And then for this one, we'll just go link. Actually, you know what? This will just be uploads. We'll just name this one upload. We'll go upload beats. Click save. Class name will be text body. And then we'll add one more. We can copy this link. It's LI. This will be manage beats. Manage beats. And then you manage them on my list. Yeah, this looks good. Let's see what it looks like.
Manage beats. So if we click on manage beats, that should take us to the my list page that we have created, and we say hello from my list page. Perfect. And then if we close it, and then what we'll eventually have is all of the links listed, or all of the music listed here that we could click on if we wanted to see all of our uploads. And then if we want to upload a beat, this should take us to the upload page. Have we created that just yet? Let's see. No. Page can be found. Let's add it now.
We'll go back side of my website. Just name a folder name upload and add a file name page.tsx. And we'll create a export default function name upload page. Add a return with a div of hello from upload page. Click save. Now let's go to it.
And refresh. There we go. We have it. Hello from upload page. So we have all of our routes set up so far. The next route that I want to work on is the ability to upload a beat. And the way it will look is, I think I named it create. It'll look like this. I'll probably change this padding or the width of it so that it's not so condensed. And I added this in for right now. We won't build this functionality out just yet, but eventually we'll have it as a multiple stage where we can add in the basic stuff first, the pricing second, and then once it's done, we'll be able to say if we want to upload it or save it. But for right now, to keep it simple, I just kept it all on the same page, but kind of just built out what the framework will eventually look like. So we'll shift our focus to this next. And of course, we'll need to add some additional functionality to go with it. Mm,